Since we are trying to cut out a lot of the processed foods that we consume, I'm on the hunt for some healthier versions of some of the snacks that we like. And in this video, I'm going to show you some of the snacks that I've been making for our family. If you're new here, hello, my name is Rebecca, and me and my husband, Matthew, are Michigan homesteaders trying to be more self-reliant and self-sufficient with growing and raising our own food and trying to make as much food, homemade food, as possible. And as always, I will have all of the recipes in the description box below this video that I will be using today. So the first recipe that I'm going to be making is my vanilla cake mix. And I like this recipe because I can turn these into vanilla cupcakes. And these freeze really, really well. I wasn't sure about how they would freeze, but after the last batch I had made a few too many, so I said, oh, I'm going to put them in the freezer and see if, you know, they will be just as delicious as when they first came out of the oven. And they were. So this is like my go-to vanilla cupcake recipe, because my husband don't like frosting on his cupcakes, so I can freeze these no problem because there's no frosting on them. I ain't got to worry about it, the frosting melting on them or anything like that. Now with my original recipe for this vanilla cake mix, I would always whip the butter, and I wanted to see if it would turn out the same without whipping the butter. And it was still turned out really delicious, but when you whip the butter before making this recipe for at least 5 or 6 minutes until it's, you know, stiff peaks form, the cake comes out super, super moist and delicious. This was still delicious, but the next time I will be whipping the butter. I was just trying to skip a step today. My husband's favorite snack is those Little Debbie chocolate cupcakes that I've been searching for a recipe for, but I can't seem to find one. So if any of you guys have like a really good recipe that is similar to the Little Debbie cupcakes, let me know in the comments, please. I'd be most appreciative. Now these turned out really nice, just the way I like them, with the large muffin tops. This next recipe is the friendship brownie recipe that I've had on my channel for a while now, and this is one of our go-to brownie recipes. You can make these brownies into, you know, the cake-like brownies or the fudgy brownies. And the way to make them more of a cake-like brownie mix, you just add an extra egg, and for a more fudgier cake you omit an egg. And my husband likes the fudgier brownies, so on this day I made 2 batches. This first batch here is for my mom, and one of the things I wanted to share was this almond extract. Adding almond extract into these brownies tastes just amazing. I accidentally used an almond extract in a brownie mix that I had made, mistaking it for the vanilla extract, and everybody said that the brownies tasted exceptionally good this time around. So yeah, it was the almond extract. It gives it that I don't know, it just gives it a different flavor, and it was really good. So I always add a little bit to the brownie mixture now when making these, and they always turn out really delicious.
You're gonna sue me?
Yes, I will.
Are you gonna sue me?
So while the first brownie batch was in the oven, I figured I'd get the next batch going, so when I pulled that one out I could get another one in and just keep the flow going so that I could get as many snacks made today as possible. So while these brownies were in the oven, I figured I'd make some use of my time while I was waiting and washed up a whole bunch of my eggs that had been sitting on my counter for about 3 weeks. And if you didn't know this about fresh eggs, once you wash them, you need to put them into the refrigerator because they don't have the natural bloom on them anymore. After you wash that off, that protects them from going bad. So this egg was from today. See how it's laying on its side? This egg is a couple weeks old. See how it's standing straight up, but not floating yet. And this egg is just a bad egg and it's floating. So I know I'm not going to use this egg right here. Never use a floating egg. You don't know what's in there. And this day I had a few floaters, but they were floating because they're cracked. They will also float if they're cracked as well. So these are the cake brownies, and these are the fudgy brownies. So the next thing that I'm going to be making is some buttermilk biscuits so that I can make some breakfast sandwiches for my husband for the week. Because I think that, you know, if I make his lunch, I might as well make his breakfast too, so that way he's not stopping at the gas station or the store to pick himself up some, you know, fast food or something that we're trying to, you know, get away from. So for this recipe, it's fairly simple. I cut in the butter and then I add the milk and then I just turn my mixture out on a surface and then just, you know, get it all, you know, combined together. I don't, you know, roll out the dough or anything like that. I just press it down with my hands like this. And I just, after I get it, you know, about the width that I want it, I just use a jar and just cut out, you know, little circular shapes. Now this recipe that I will be sharing will make about 6 of these fairly large size buttermilk biscuits, but you can make these as small or as large as you want. When I make these fairly large so that way they can hold like an egg or some bacon, you know, just to turn them into a sandwich. But if you just want these just for like to use to put gravy on or something like that, you can definitely make these smaller and you'd probably get about 12 of them. But we like the big biscuits. One of the things that I'm wanting to try out with this recipe is to just make up the dough and then freeze a batch and then pull it out and see if it cooks up the same, if they rise the same. I've never tried it before, and I think that would make things a lot easier if I could just whip up a whole bunch of them like that and just pull them out of the freezer when needed, you know? So this is the easiest way that I have found to make breakfast sandwiches with these jar rings. I just put a little bit of butter on the inside of the rings and I heat up the rings in a pan until they get, you know, a little bit hot, and then I put the eggs in so that way they don't like ooze out of the ring. And it's also easy for me to just take some tongs and lift up the rings and the egg isn't, you know, don't get attached to the rings. So that's nice as well. You just got to make sure that you butter them really good or use some type of oil on the rings before you do that. So with these sandwiches, I'm just wrapping in some wax paper and then I'm going to put them in a baggie because I don't need to freeze these because these are going to be used throughout the week. But I am going to be freezing these vanilla muffins. I have never tried to freeze brownies before, so I don't know how they would turn out. So I'm just cutting them up and then wrapping them in some saran wrap so that way I can just pop them in as lunches. So I wanted to show everybody this hack that I've been doing with my yogurt to save money. So I'll fill a clean ice cube tray with the yogurt, which is about 2 tablespoons, and then I'll freeze it until it's solid. So that way I can just pop the yogurt cubes out of the tray and place in a freezer bag and return to the freezer. So when I'm ready to make yogurt or muffins or a smoothie, or just want a small portion of something of yogurt, I can easily grab a cube or two from the freezer, set it on the counter, thaw it out for a little while, and it's ready to go. So now I'm just going to replenish my pantry and make some more brownie mixes. And this time when I'm making them, I'm just gonna put all 3 batches into one bowl and then mix it all up and then put it in the mason jars. I think that will work out better with getting the brownie mix out of the jars, because when you put brown sugar in, or cookie mixes and brownie mixes and stuff like that, sometimes it's a little hard to get the sugar out. So I think that if I mix all of the ingredients up together first and then put it in the jars, I think that will work out better when I'm getting it out of the jars. So the next thing that I am making is some homemade chocolate pudding. Now, this is my first time making this chocolate pudding, and it calls for using half and half instead of milk. But the next time that I make it, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna just use milk, because this turned out way too thick, but the flavor of this was really, really good. So I am gonna be making this again, but I'm gonna be changing the half and half for milk for sure, because you see how thick this is? This is almost like a chocolate mousse, maybe, or it'd be better for like a chocolate pie. Plus, I just wanted to say that I'm still using this Saker Plus vacuum sealer that I was having an issue with, but I think that the flour got up inside of where the suction is. So I took my vacuum and I vacuumed it out real good, and now it works just fine. So I'm just gonna stick with using this. I'm not gonna search for anything else. So this next recipe is a granola bar recipe, I guess you can say. And I'm using some flax seeds, and I'm using some protein powder with some honey and some oats with some chocolate chips as well. Now, the idea of this was for me to make myself like a little protein snack that I could just grab and go type thing, and I wouldn't have to worry about refrigerating it or anything like that. So that's where all these ingredients came to mind. Now mind you, this recipe was absolutely delicious. But one thing that I will let everybody know is that the protein powder that I used was my son's protein powder. Not thinking about it when I used it, and he uses his protein powder for when he works out. So I wasn't really thinking about it when I did it, and I basically juiced myself, I guess you can say, with these oatmeal bars. So yeah, I would definitely just use regular protein powder with these. Not any type of workout protein powder. But these did turn out really, really delicious. I will make them again, just not with that protein powder. So that will conclude this week's snacks, homemade snacks and breakfast sandwiches. I hope you guys got a little bit of inspiration from watching this video. I would like to say thank you to everybody for stopping by and visiting our channel. And if you haven't already, please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And I hope that everyone has a very blessed day, and I leave you with what my sweet potatoes in the basement are looking like right now, and my banana peppers. Take care, guys. Everyone have a very blessed day.